going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a special edition of Action Sunday. This is a bit of on the road episode, a little bit of a different change of location since, as you know, by the time this episode drops, I will have gone to see the Dance with the Stars show in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So I'm kind of excited. It's a bit of a last minute treat that I wanted to give for my wife and I. So, yep, also a big part of her Christmas gift / birthday gift. So there you go. But anyway, let's get down to business. This week's episode is a Stallone movie, like I promised, but it's not just a Stallone movie. It's called I See You. Okay, this movie came out in the early 2000s. And this plot is really interesting. So, and it's also got a big all-star cast. So, let me give you guys a Cliff Notes version of what happens. So, Stallone plays a Fed or a detective actually, where it turns out like a majority of these cops are getting killed by a mysterious killer. It's like here's why he says ICUs because he rings their doorbell, kills them through the viewer peek hole with a freaking drill bit, and then mutilates them and hangs them. It's like the most grotesque way. I'm like, talk about a calling card. But here's the interesting thing. This killer disguises his voice. He uses that muffled, scrambled voice when he calls over the phone. So I'm like, go ahead and cover your tracks. So that's a smart villain. But, of course, you don't figure out who this villain is until the very final act. So I thought this movie was going to be set in like a suburban setting. No. After all that and the fact that the killer targets his wife and kills his wife, Stallone essentially is saying, hey, let's get you to a detox center where all these other cops and whatnot are trying to go through some kind of similar situation where it's drug or alcohol related stuff. So and it's in the most random, desolate location ever. It's like in the middle of freaking Wyoming of all places. I was like, really? Of all places? I'm like, okay. And of course, the Detox place is run by a guy named Doc, who's played by, of course, the legendary Chris Christopherson. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But then the star power just keeps rolling in. It's like we meet all these different cops from all different lives, and they're all played by some great characters. You got Sean Patrick Flanery, Robert Patrick, a young Jeffrey Wright. My God, the list goes on. Like, even you'll be shocked who's in this movie. I believe Courtney B. Vance. He's in it. Like wow, it's like a who's who. Like of some interesting characters and great character actors. But yeah, like it's an interesting setting. It's like a Motley Crue thing. It essentially goes from being like an action detective thriller to more like a horror movie of like how desolate and alone they are. They're in the middle of the freaking wilderness. I'm in the freaking winter storm. But of course, slowly but steadily, you slowly start to feel like, okay, something is afoot, and you slowly realize, oh my God, the killer is actually among them. So it's like a case of someone's here, someone's lying, someone's not telling the truth, and it just keeps going on. And I really love how they do it. But of course, then they kill off all these characters in some crazy way. Of course, I was like, oh man, they kill Sean Patrick Flanery off like a couple minutes after he gets there. They kill off Robert Patrick near the end, and then of course by the time they reveal who the killer is, you're like okay, what now? And of course how he kills the killer, I thought was going to be, I was expecting it to be something like, okay, take eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth kind of thing. Nope. Instead, they fight in like an Arctic like setting. There's shooting, there's guns, there's a freaking hatchet involved. There's a lot of other crazy shit. But yeah, crazy stuff. And of course, if you're expecting like guns and explosions, you're not going to expect that there. But the pacing is really good. It keeps you on edge. Again, like I felt like I was watching a horror movie during the last act. And to me, that's a good thing. Of course, you're talking to the guy that's working on horror stories to begin with. So hey, take it for what it's worth. Well, but yeah, not much else I can say. My only problem with this movie is I felt like they beat some of these cliches a little too much. And of course, mainly with top cliches, kind of thing. And of course, I was like, why do we got to go this way? Of course, obviously, the one character I felt like he really stood out outside of Stallone's character was Charles S. Dutton's character. Of course, I liked his character. Like he's the straight man. He was trying to give Stallone on the right advice, and he was trying to tell him, "Hey, this is what you should do," kind of thing. And like while he's doing that, it's like it's like they keep the story on him at one point, and like trying to say, "Okay, where are we going with this?" But then all of a sudden, it just comes together in the end, and of course, you're like, all right, I like how this ends, but of course, the ending is kind of like, okay, the killer's done, and of course, he just kind of feels like a typical cowboy saying, just rides off in the sunset. So, or in this case, the cold Wyoming snowy wilderness kind of thing. I guess he goes back to his job, gets a new love interest. I don't know. Spoilers ahead. Again, like there's like an on-site doctor or psychologist where like she's helping everybody with their problems, kind of thing. But yeah, like but again, like a lot I can say about this, but it's a fine movie. I feel like it's a criminally underrated gem of Stallone's filmography, and of course, I really wish there would have been more action. But again, the thrills were there, the story was good. Yeah, not much else I can say there. I'd say give this movie a watch. I was able to watch it on Peacock. It is available there. If you get seriously, if you want to see Stallone in a different environment other than being John Rambo or something, I'd say give this movie a watch. And with that in mind, I'm going to give ICU. I'm going to give it a solid 7 for now. I wanted to rate it a little higher, but I think a solid 7 is average. All right. So that does for now. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for some more awesome and exciting content.